Hey guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 214th episode of my series where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it has, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. So maybe this one was a choice I made subconsciously, but I hadn't even realized until writing this that the way I organized this group, I went from covering Jadakiss with Kiss of Death to Fab's debut, Ghetto Fabulous. And as I mentioned in my last video, Jada and Fab had a versus prior to the infamous Lox versus with Dipset. But coincidentally, today I had chosen to discuss one of my favorite LPs from Cameron, who of course has always served as the Diplomats' de facto leader. I discussed the debut album by the group a while back, but I really still can't stress how much I love 2003's Diplomatic Immunity. And it was actually Cameron's third solo studio album here, Come Home With Me, that took the world by storm the year before and laid the groundwork down for Joel Santana, Jim Jones, and the rest of the crew to share the wealth. Cam released his killer solo studio debut back in 1998 with Confessions of Fire, but he had already proved his status as one of the most talented up-and-comers throughout the mid and late 90s through guest appearances on notable posse cuts like Eight Is Enough off Big L's Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, and the So-So Def remix of Will Smith's Getting Jiggy With It along with Big Pun and others. And you also can't forget Cam's role on the Nori group track Banned from TV. Those aren't the only examples of Big Pun rapping with Cameron, and it's affiliations like that which make me question people who try and tear down this dude or act like he's just some pop rapper who never put in any time as a real MC. But if that was truly the case, you have to ask yourself why legends like Big Pun would do a number of remixes and posse cuts with him. Maybe it's because Dipset was such a massive movement in the early 2000s, with so much of an undeniable impact on fashion and culture, or perhaps it was the somewhat materialistic content that resulted in this small corner of hip-hop fans who don't appear to take Cam and his affiliates quite as seriously as their skill levels warrant, in my opinion. From where I'm sitting, I think it might be a similar situation to his partner in crime and former rival, Murda Mase, where the public's perception is largely determined by the common consensus of the fans. What I mean by that is there's an amount of people who quite honestly just haven't given someone like Mace or Killa Cam a fair shake because they think they already know what the music does or doesn't have to offer. I myself have memories of being guilty of this practice back when I was still pretty new to the genre and looking at posts about it on Facebook. And it's part of why I want each video to feel somewhat accessible to a brand new hip-hop listener, because I remember seeing a page make a layout with a bunch of different rappers' faces, and then each week people would vote one off until you're eventually left with a single artist as the winner. As anyone could see coming, Tupac and Biggie Smalls ended up being the final two, and I believe Pac won, but either way, while all of the artists in that post are people I'm very familiar with now and probably have even featured on the page, this was so long ago it may have actually been the first time I heard of the majority of the rappers, considering I vividly can recall thinking Ghostface Killah was the coolest name I'd ever heard, and that may have even been the same day I first looked into Wu-Tang Clan. Then I heard Triumph and never went back. But the reason I bring this post up is at that time, me not being familiar with most old school rappers, I kind of just took their word for who was worth listening to, which led me to sort of glaze over all the legends that got voted out earlier on, which I believe is where Cameron fell in that ranking, though it was a pretty small pool of names to start with anyway. And of course, Facebook isn't the be-all end-all of hip-hop knowledge. I wish I could find that picture today, but it was literally over a decade ago and I wouldn't even know where to look. But from my mental snapshot, I remember the group of names being no bigger than 25 or 30 maybe. Which means that even the very first person to be voted off was still being talked about in a discussion for the top 25 rappers dead or alive, yet my dumb little 12-year-old brain would think, Oh, this guy named Twista got voted off in week 1, so he must not be very good or worth listening to. And then it took me getting older and actually going through and giving everyone a true chance that I learned how unfair I'd been. It's almost a curse in a way, where despite someone like Cam having a unique and instantly recognizable style, he tends to get looked over as a lyricist, which is really a shame to me because personally I love the way this dude structures his bars. A great example is on the anthem of a track, Welcome to New York City, where I have to share some of the back and forth that occurs between Cameron and Jay-Z himself. Starting with when Cam says, I'm from 101 West to 140th, this shit is live. 5th floor, 56, you know the zip, District 5. You on 22nd, hit you from 2-1. That's on Lennox. 7th Ave was News 1. Then Jay comes in with his killer flow, getting right into the pocket, rapping, got Braffman defending me, 'cause New York'll miss me if I'm locked in the penitentiary. The judge said, is this that Doug from the Kit Kat Club? But I got old enough, chips stacked up, to make that bitch back up. Then Cam comes back in swinging to build off Hove's last scheme, saying, Hilla, I pitched that bud and I gripped that snub to hit that thug. Lay up in a pitch black tub. You looking at rich black thugs that get that love and won't stop till I get back blood, holla at 'em, Hove. Then to cap off this little 4-bar trade-off, Jay fires back with, I'm from Flushing, Marcy, Nostrand, Myrtle, and Park. Dudes'll drive by in the day, murder you in the dark. That's why the Johnny gun I'm holding wet people up like the Johnny pump is open. Homie, I play hard. The top-tier production on this thing is handled by a lot of the usual suspects for Roc-A-Fella artists at this time, including names like Ty Fife, Just Blaze, Precision, Leland Robinson, Mike T, Ray Watkins, Arsonist, DR Period, Mafia Boy, Neek Rusher, BPM, and Kanye West. For guest appearances, of course we have diplomats like Joel Santana, Jim Jones, and Freaky Zeke, but you can also find features from the likes of DJ K-Slay, Tiffany, McGruff, Memphis Bleak, Jay-Z, Beanie Siegel, and Daz Dillinger of the Dog Pound. I'm going to leave out Welcome to New York City from my favorites just because that was the song I chose to read verses from, and instead name my top 3 favorite tracks overall as Oh Boy, Hey Ma, and The Rock, Just Fire. For honorable mentions, I definitely have to shout out the title track, as well as Losing Weight Part 2, Live My Life, Leave Me Alone, Daydreaming, Stop Calling, I Just Wanna, and Dead or Alive. Thank you for watching my 214th video. Next up, to close out this group, we have someone I've had on the page so many times I'm losing count. So look for that upload, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite moments off this quality solo LP are. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? Alright.
Look, the key to my soul is locked in the cage it opens. The framework was made from my own rib cue. What came first, the crack or the crack lighter? Whichever one the first fiend used to bring back fire.